everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're all about getting right to the good stuff here. So today, we're going to really dive deep into Dr. Becky Kennedy's parenting approach.
Yeah, her philosophy is super insightful, and a lot of it comes from her book, Good Inside.
Exactly. Good Inside is our main source today. Think of this episode as a crash course in understanding Dr. Kennedy's ideas. We want to help you grasp her approach quickly so you can start using it right away.
It really is a different way of looking at how kids behave, why they do the things they do, and how we as parents can respond in a way that builds connection and helps them thrive. We're going to break down the key takeaways for you, those aha moments, so you can apply them to your own family life.
Totally. We're going beyond just summarizing. We want you to truly understand the fundamental shifts Dr. Kennedy suggests in how we view our kids and their behavior. It's about lasting change, not just quick fixes.
And it all starts with challenging some pretty common beliefs about how to handle kids. You know, the traditional approach.
Yeah, like that whole reward and punishment thing, right? That's kind of ingrained in a lot of us.
Yeah, that's behaviorism. But Dr. Kennedy actually disagrees with that approach. She argues that just focusing on the behavior itself, whether it's good or bad, misses the bigger picture.
Okay, so what's the bigger picture then? What's she saying we should be paying attention to?
Well, she says that instead of just judging the behavior, we need to look at it as a clue, a window into the child's inner world.
Interesting. So it's not about labeling the behavior as good or bad, but more about understanding what's going on underneath the surface, right?
Right. It's about understanding the feelings, the thoughts, maybe some unmet needs that are driving that behavior. It's like she says, don't judge a child by their tantrums.
Oh, I love that quote. It's so true. Those tantrums can be rough, but they're really just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. So instead of just trying to stop the behavior, we need to figure out what's causing it in the first place. And that's where connection comes in.
Okay, so how does understanding lead to connection?
Well, Dr. Kennedy puts it perfectly. Understanding has one goal: connection. When a child feels understood by you, they feel safe. And that feeling of safety is crucial for them to be able to manage their emotions, to self-regulate. So it's like a chain reaction. Understanding leads to connection, which leads to better emotional regulation.
I see. So it all starts with you really trying to understand your child's perspective. And that lays the foundation for a stronger bond and better emotional development for them.
Yes, and speaking of foundations, that leads us to her most fundamental principle. You and your children are fundamentally good inside.
Oh, yeah, that one. That's like her core belief, right? It just makes so much sense.
It does. It's the idea that even when your child is acting out, even when they're being really challenging, deep down, they are good. And you as a parent are good too.
I love that. It's like giving yourself and your child the benefit of the doubt, even in those tough moments.
Right. And that belief in your inherent goodness creates this sense of security, which Dr. Kennedy says is essential for making good choices. She says, all good decisions start with feeling secure in ourselves and in our environment. And nothing feels more secure than being recognized for the good people we truly are.
So it's like that feeling of security empowers you and your child to make better decisions both individually and as a family.
Exactly. And that leads us to another key idea. The concept of two things are true.
Two things are true. What's that all about?
It's basically about rejecting those either situations that we often find ourselves in as parents. Like, do we need to be strict or lenient? Do we focus on setting boundaries or validating feelings?
I totally get that. It's so easy to get stuck in those black and white ways of thinking.
Yeah, but Dr. Kennedy is all about embracing the nuance. She says, we don't have to choose between two supposedly oppositional realities. It's possible to be firm and warm, boundaried, and validating.
Can you give an example of how this might play out in real life?
Sure. Let's say your kid really wants a cookie right before dinner. You can absolutely say no to the cookie that's setting a boundary, but you can also acknowledge their disappointment. You can say something like, I know you really want a cookie right now, and it's okay to feel disappointed, but we're having dinner soon, and I want you to be hungry for all that delicious food.
So you're not dismissing their feelings just because you're saying no. You're validating their experience while still holding the boundary.
Exactly. And this idea of two things are true actually comes from research on successful marriages by Gottman.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, Gottman found that couples who can accept each other's perspectives, even when they disagree, tend to have stronger relationships. It's about recognizing that both people can be right, even if their viewpoints are different.
I see. So it's like applying that same principle of acknowledging multiple truths to the parent-child relationship.
Precisely. It's about moving away from that black and white thinking and embracing the complexity of human emotions.
Okay, so we're understanding the child's internal world, believing in their inherent goodness, and embracing the idea that two things can be true at the same time. What else is important in Dr. Kennedy's approach?
Well, another crucial element is understanding the different roles that parents and children play in the family dynamic.
Roles. I'm curious to hear more about that.
So Dr. Kennedy emphasizes that the parent's primary role is to create safety for their child, and they do that through boundaries, validation, and empathy.
So the parent is like the safe container, providing that secure base for the child to explore and grow. And what's the child's role?
The child's role is to explore, learn, and express their full range of emotions. Their job isn't to always be happy or to always behave perfectly.
That takes a lot of pressure off kids, doesn't it? It allows them to just be themselves, even with all those big emotions.
Exactly. And speaking of boundaries, she has a really interesting way of framing them that I think is super helpful for parents.
So tell me about that.
Instead of focusing on what the child shouldn't do, she suggests focusing on what you, as the parent, will do. She says, boundaries are not what we tell kids not to do. Boundaries are what we tell kids we will do.
Whoa, that's a subtle but powerful shift. It makes boundaries feel less like restrictions and more about you taking responsibility for creating a safe space.
Exactly. It's about being that sturdy leader, that safe haven for your child.
I like that sturdy leader. It sounds a lot more empowering than just being the rule enforcer.
Right. And she uses this really helpful analogy to illustrate this further.
Ooh, I love analogies. What is it?
It's the two-story house analogy of the brain. Imagine the downstairs brain as the basements where all those big raw emotions live. Then upstairs, you have the more rational, regulated part of the brain.
Okay, got it. Downstairs is emotional chaos, upstairs is calm and collected.
Exactly. And in this analogy, you, as the parent, are the staircase connecting the two floors.
I love it. So you're helping your child move from that overwhelmed emotional state to a calmer, more regulated place.
That's it. You're providing that support, that understanding, that validation that helps them make that journey up the stairs.
So powerful. Now, we know those early years are super important for development. Does Dr. Kennedy talk about that at all?
Oh, absolutely. She emphasizes that those early interactions, especially from birth to age 3, create a kind of blueprint for how kids handle emotions later on.
Oh, wow. That feels like a lot of pressure for parents of little ones.
It can feel that way, but here's the good news. She also says that it's never too late to repair and reconnect.
Phew, that's a relief. So even if things weren't perfect in those early years, there's still hope.
Absolutely. Our brains are incredibly adaptable. We can always learn new ways of relating and responding to our kids.
That's so reassuring. It makes me feel like I'm not permanently messing things up, even when I make mistakes.
Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection. Now, we've talked a lot about emotions. Dr. Kennedy has an interesting perspective on what should come first when it comes to dealing with kids' difficulties.
Oh, what's that? I'm intrigued.
She actually prioritizes emotional safety over happiness.
That's not what you typically hear, is it? Most people are all about making kids happy.
Right. But she argues that a child needs to feel safe and regulated before they can truly experience genuine happiness. Her principle is resilience happiness. It's about building that inner strength to handle challenges.
I see. So it's not about shielding them from all discomfort, but about equipping them with the tools to navigate those tough emotions. And how do boundaries fit into all of this?
Well, she points out that kids actually perceive boundaries as a form of safety.
Really? That's surprising. I would have thought they'd see them as restrictive.
It makes sense when you think about it. When you set clear and consistent boundaries, you're showing your child that you're in control, that you can keep them safe even when they're feeling all over the place.
So it's not about control in a negative way, but about providing that sense of security and predictability that they need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As she says, children don't take in these specifics. They take in whether it's safe in any given relationship to have the desires and feelings that lead to difficult moments.
Wow, that's a powerful way to think about it. So those boundaries are actually building blocks for emotional safety and resilience.
Exactly. Now let's talk about some specific strategies that Dr. Kennedy recommends. You mentioned her approach to tantrums earlier, and it's actually really simple but effective.
Yes, I'm dying to hear about this. Tantrums are definitely a challenge in our house.
I hear ya. The person who shared this tactic with Dr. Kennedy said it worked for them over 90% of the time and really deepened their connection with their kid. The key is to get down on the child's level physically and validate their emotion, and then offer a hug.
So simple, yet so profound. Can you walk us through that example she gives with her daughter and the yogurt melties?
Of course. Her daughter, Davy, really wanted yogurt melties even though dinner was about to be ready. The dad explained that melties were a snack, not a meal, and that she could have some tomorrow. Totally reasonable, right? But Davy, like any toddler would, completely melts down.
Oh yeah, I've been there. It's like their whole world is ending.
Exactly. But here's what the dad did. He knelt right down in front of her and said, "You must be pretty disappointed to not get melties, F. You might also be feeling a bit jealous that Shep gets melties. Is that right?"
Wow, he's not just dismissing her feelings. He's really trying to understand what's going on for her.
Right. And then when she confirms that she's feeling disappointed, he says, "I would feel pretty disappointed too if I didn't get something I wanted. Thanks for sharing, F, how you're feeling. I'm here for you." And then he offers a hug.
So powerful. He's validating her feelings and letting her know that he's there for her, even in that moment of intense emotion.
And the result, Davy takes a long exhale and calms down. It's like that simple act of understanding and connection helped her regulate her emotions.
I love that. And that part about getting down on their level physically seems really important too, doesn't it?
It does. It really changes the dynamic. It's like you're meeting them where they are, both emotionally and physically.
Right. It feels so much more respectful and empathetic than towering over them.
Now, beyond this specific tactic, Dr. Kennedy also has some go-to phrases that can be super helpful for parents in different situations.
Oh, yeah, those phrases, I've heard about them. They sound like magic words.
They're not magic, but they are powerful tools. The first one is for when your child wants something that's not in their best interest. It's, "I hear you. Two things are true."
Oh, yes, it goes back to that two things are true principle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're acknowledging their desire while also holding firm to the boundary. Like, "I hear you. You're mad because you don't want to wear your jacket outside. Right now, two things are true. You have to wear a jacket if you're going outside. And also, you're allowed to be mad at me about it. You don't have to like wearing it."
Ah, so you're not giving in, but you're also not telling them that their feelings are wrong.
Right. It's about validating their experience while still maintaining the limit. What about the second phrase?
The second one is for when things are starting to escalate and you can feel that tension rising. It's, "I do not appreciate that language. I need a moment to calm my body."
Ah, yes. That one is so important for modeling self-regulation. You're showing your child that it's okay to take a break when you're feeling overwhelmed.
And you're also setting a boundary around disrespectful language, which is so important.
Right. The example she gives is adding, "You must be really upset, maybe about some other things too, to be talking to me like this. I need a moment to calm my body. Maybe you do too. Let's take 5 deep breaths together, then let's talk."
I love that. It's about taking a pause, regulating your own emotions, and then coming back to the situation with a clearer head.
Exactly. And the third phrase is for when your child is having a full-blown meltdown. It's, "I'm picking you up. You're not in trouble."
Oh, that one sounds so reassuring.
It is. It communicates to your child that you're there for them, that you're safe haven, even in those moments of intense emotion. The full example phrase is, "I'm picking you up and carrying you to your room. You're not in trouble. I'll sit with you. You're a good kid having a hard time."
It's like you're holding that space for them, allowing them to just fall apart without judgment.
Exactly. It's about connection, not punishment. Now, speaking of things we shouldn't do, Dr. Kennedy has a very strong stance on timeouts.
Oh yeah, I've heard she's not a fan.
She is not.
Yeah.
She believes that timeouts actually do more harm than good.
That's interesting. Most people see timeouts as a pretty standard discipline tool.
I know, right? But she argues that when a child is already feeling dysregulated, a timeout just isolates them in their distress.
So instead of helping them learn to manage those big emotions, it actually makes them feel more alone and abandoned.
Exactly. And that can lead to them repressing those feelings, which isn't healthy in the long run.
It makes sense. It's like we're teaching them to shut down their emotions instead of working through them.
Right. It's like timeouts might solve the parent's problem in the moment, but they don't actually address the child's underlying need.
So what's the alternative? What should we do instead of timeouts?
Well, Dr. Kennedy advocates for staying present with your child, validating their feelings, and helping them co-regulate. It's about connection, not isolation.
I love that. It's about being there for them, even when it's tough.
Exactly. And all this really comes back to one of Dr. Kennedy's most important takeaways, the difference between a child's identity and their behavior.
Oh, yes. That's so crucial.
It's about remembering that who a child is at their core is separate from what they do. Their behavior is often driven by those big emotions and unmet needs, but it doesn't define who they are as a person.
So it's like separating the person from the action. They might be doing something that's not okay, but that doesn't mean they're a bad kid.
Exactly. And Dr. Kennedy actually shares a really personal example of this.
Oh, tell me about that.
She says, "Yes, I've done lots of things I wish I hadn't. That's not who I am. I am a good person who has done not so good things. I am still a good person. I am good inside."
Wow, that's powerful. It's like she's giving herself permission to be human, to make mistakes, and to still believe in her own goodness.
Right. And she encourages us to extend that same grace to our children. As she says, differentiating who someone is from what they do is key to creating interventions that preserve your relationship while also leading to impactful change.
So it's about addressing the behavior while still maintaining that loving connection. It's not about punishment. It's about understanding and growth.
Exactly. So to sum it all up, Dr. Becky Kennedy's Good Inside approach is really about a shift in perspective. It's about moving away from simply managing behavior and toward understanding the hearts and minds of our children.
It's about seeing them as whole people with their own unique experiences and emotions and meeting them where they are with compassion and connection.
Right. And it's not just theory, it's practical too. We've talked about specific tools and phrases that you can start using right away to build stronger relationships with your kids.
And ultimately, it's about helping them develop that emotional resilience and that deep sense of safety that they need to thrive in the world.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a thought to ponder.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think back to your own childhood for a moment. How did your parents respond to your emotions? Did they approach you with judgment or with curiosity?
That's a good question. I'm sure it varied depending on the situation, but it's definitely something to reflect on.
Right. And then think about how you can bring more curiosity and understanding into your own parenting. Maybe try one small shift, like using one of those phrases we talked about, and see how it impacts your interactions with your child.
I love that. It's all about those small steps, those intentional choices that can make a big difference over time.
And if you're interested in learning more, we highly recommend checking out Dr. Kennedy's work. Her book, Good Inside, and her other resources are full of amazing insights that can truly transform your approach to parenting.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparked some new ideas and inspired you to connect with your kids in even deeper and more meaningful ways.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.